Besides tooth-supported guides, Romexis also supports designing mucosa-supported guides for edentulous patients. For these patients, we recommend dual scan procedure in which we take one CBCT of the patient wearing a prosthesis with radiographic markers on it, and then taking a separate CBCT of the prosthesis only with the radiographic markers. So the prosthesis should fit well on patient's mouth so that we have a good representation of their mucosal surface. Let's first take a look at this CBCT of the prosthesis only. So here in this 3D rendered view, we can see the prosthesis with the radiographic markers. For the guide design process, we need to convert this CBCT to an STL file, and that we can do by opening first this CBCT of the prosthesis, then going here to File menu of Romexis and selecting here Export Volume as STL. So this way we can create an STL file of this CBCT image. If we then go back to the patient's file, we can actually also see this STL of the prosthesis that was imported to Romexis. We can also leave it on our computer and we can browse for it when we are matching it with the CBCT of the patient. Let's then open that CBCT of the patient instead. So here in this CBCT of the patient, we can see how of the prosthesis, the only thing we can see are these radiographic markers. The first thing that we want to do is to match our STL prosthesis with this CBCT, and that we can do with this familiar function fit model here in the toolbar. So let's open this function. Now here on the right side we have the CBCT, and then we could either browse for the STL from our computer, or we could select it if we have already imported it for the patient. So we select the STL, and then here we will choose as common points these radiographic markers. So this fit model function is introduced in a separate tutorial about fitting models. So here, let's just quickly go through this process. So like I said, we will select these radiographic markers as common points, because that's basically the only thing that these two datasets have in common. And here, if we recognize well these points, we could use also more points than 3 points. So now I could, for example, pick one here inside the model as well. So this dialog allows us to select up to 10 common points. Now we could, for example, calculate the match. After the matching process has finished, we can verify the matching with the color map. So we could, for example, hide the CBCT data, and here in this case, naturally, the only common areas found would be these radiographic markers that are common for both datasets. So we should verify that they would be showing in green. After verifying the match, we can use this automatic match. After the STL file of this denture is matched together with the CBCT, we can continue then to implant planning. So let's go here to implants module. I had actually already here some implants planned. So just like shown in the other tutorials, we could place here and position the implants. And what is more also here, in this edentulous patient case, we have also fixation pins that we can also add from our implant library. So if we open our implant library, we can see here a tab for fixation pins. So from here we could select a suitable fixation pin see the overview here as well. And also we could select a sleeve for this fixation pin. So these fixation pins we could manage and add and position just like implants in the plan. In order to learn more about that, you can check the other tutorials for managing implants and positioning them. So after we have positioned our implants and fixation pins, we can continue to guide design. So this button here in the toolbar. Here, like we see, we have the denture model. This is not on top of which we would like to design our guide, but rather we would need this mucosal surface here on the other side. We can easily get that calculated by Romexis. So if we position our denture model this way so that we can see the occlusal surface here, we can just once click on this Use Denture Model option here in the implant guide dialog. And Romexis gives us the mucosal surface, the other side of our denture model. So from here, designing implant guide goes on just like for the ordinary tooth-supported case. So we would start by drawing guide area. Let's still calculate a quick preview so that we can see how our edentulous guide looks like. So now we can see how both the implants as well as the fixation pins got their own sleeve holders. So then we could proceed by modifying the guide before creating the final STL. For these other controls here in this guide design dialog, you can check the basic designing implant guides tutorial.